If you were to ask a man a few decades ago, what is the future of energy? Most would say nuclear, and it's not hard to see why. Nuclear power plants are fantastic in many ways. They take up little space. They can produce a lot of electricity at any time, regardless of season, time of day, or weather. And today they have an additional advantage, one that we did not care about decades ago. They do not contribute to climate change. So they are perfect for replacing coal and gas power plants, right? And yet, most of the planet is not betting on nuclear. If you ask people today, not many would consider nuclear the future. With some exceptions, most governments are hesitant to build new reactors. Why is that? For years, I thought the situation was simple. People had an irrational fear of nuclear, and that's why we didn't see many new power plants. But it's a lot more complicated than that. Let's first address what is not a problem with nuclear power. Contrary to what many people believe, nuclear is really safe. I could cite studies and graphs, but this might be more interesting. Nuclear is sort of like the air travel of electricity, while coal is car travel. Let me explain. Objectively speaking, planes are much safer than cars, but we don't always see it that way. Whenever there's a plane crash, it's big news, and we all get scared. But cars, like coal, kill people regularly and in much greater numbers. But we become used to it. We don't even notice it, and we don't fear it, even though we probably should. The air pollution from coal not only contributes to climate change, but it also worsens people's health directly. If your country, like mine, is using coal power plants, people will die this year as a result. It's sad, it's tragic, but it is true, and we need to be aware of it. Okay, so if nuclear is safe and much better than coal, what's the real problem? Like with so many other things, it's economics. Nuclear power plants have three big problems. The first is simple. Building nuclear power plants is very expensive. I will show you maybe the most important chart in energy economics. It shows you the cost comparison between different types of energy sources, and it reveals a significant problem with nuclear power. In the past decade, its main competitors, wind, solar, and gas, have gotten significantly cheaper to build and operate. While nuclear went in the opposite direction, it is a lot more expensive than it used to be. This doesn't mean that there are no reasons to build nuclear. It has one crucial advantage over renewables. It can provide energy continuously. With wind and solar, you need to make up for the time when the wind is not blowing and the sun is not shining. Natural gas doesn't have that problem, but it is contributing to climate change. Still, if the price was nuclear's only problem, we would probably see a lot more nuclear power plants regardless. But sadly, there are other problems as well. The second one is time. Nuclear power plants are hard and complicated to build. It takes a long time. Historically, in the best of times, a nuclear power plant could have been built in 6 years, but modern ones take 10 to 15. Compare that to wind, solar, or gas. For them, the timeline is usually between 6 months and 2 years. And this is a big deal. Think of it from a perspective of a country going through an energy crisis. That's 10 years at best of relying on others for energy, spending billions and billions on importing electricity and having high energy prices. And then we get to the third economic problem, breaking deadlines and going over budget. Because nuclear power plants are hard and complicated to build, they often go way over budget and break deadlines. This is so common that it's more of a rule than an exception. And this is not your regular highway breaking the deadlines with a 15% additional cost and an extra year. No, when nuclear power plants go over budget and deadlines, this often means doubling the original, already expensive price and years of extra work. sometimes even a decade. These are the three main economic problems with nuclear, but there is one important thing. Notice that they are mostly in the building phase. Once your nuclear power plant is operational, it makes sense to keep it going. Shutting them down ahead of time is in all likelihood bad both for your country and the climate. This is what Germany did, and to quote a German friend of mine, it's ridiculous. So I wouldn't say that the main reason we are not building more nuclear is because of safety concerns. That might be the main reason we are shutting down existing well-functioning reactors. But the reason we are not building more is that simply most of the time it doesn't make economic sense. This is especially true for countries that aren't really rich, which is most of the planet. Nuclear power plants are too much of a risk. Does this mean that nuclear energy doesn't have a future? I wouldn't say that, but without a drastic change in the economics of nuclear, it's simply not possible for it to live up to its potential. There are things that could change that, and if people like this video, I might make another one on how the economic problems of nuclear can be fixed. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any criticisms or suggestions or simply comments, feel free to write them down. It can really affect where I go moving forward. For example, I didn't plan on making this video, but I've had the idea in my head for a couple of weeks, and the deciding factor was that one person wrote a really nice comment on my train video and mentioned that they are considering becoming an energy planner. Just thought, well, maybe they would enjoy a video on the economics of nuclear. And if you enjoyed it, feel free to subscribe and press that bell thingy. Since my channel is really small, it's the only way you will be able to see my videos in the future. And if you're not convinced, here are two of my videos. The algorithm thinks you might enjoy them, so if you're interested, you can check it out and see if this channel is something that you might enjoy looking at in the future. Have a great day.